guys, welcome back to another Workshop Wednesday. I'm Claudia and today we're going to be making foil sculptures. For supplies, it's pretty simple. You're just going to need some scissors and some household aluminum foil. So go ahead and take your aluminum foil roll out of the box. I'm just going to put that to the side and cut off a sheet about the size of a regular piece of paper, so about 10 inches or so. Once I've cut that off, I'm going to set aside the foil for later. Now I'm going to create some slits in my foil. This is going to help me form the body of the sculpture. So first I'm going to make a slit kind of at the bottom, right in the middle, stopping halfway through. I flipped it over so you can be on the same page with me. Now I'm going to think about the arms. I am going to cut slightly at a diagonal on both sides, again stopping before the middle so that way I'm not cutting all the way through the foil. It should look a little something like this. Now I'm taking a cotton ball, which I'm going to roll in my hand. This is totally optional. You don't have to use a cotton ball. I just think that it'll provide a better structure for the head. So I'm flipping it over so that way I can show you how to form the head. Go ahead and start wrapping the foil around the cotton ball. If you don't have a cotton ball, you can just sort of roll up the foil into a ball, a tight ball. And now I'm going to form most of the foil towards the back of the head because what I want is a little bit of extra in the back. For these parts that are hanging out, I'm going to tuck them. So what I'm doing is a lot of pinching and folding, not too much just scrunching, but being very careful about leaving a little bit of support for the neck because the head is a little bit heavier since it has that cotton ball in it. I've formed the ponytail part, which you can leave out if you want. And now I have something that looks like a head. So we are going to form the arms. You will need your scissors again to cut some more slits on through the side. Again, slightly at an angle. So 1 and 2. Now you have something that resembles to me angel wings. It's pretty fun. So with the arms, I am going to roll the foil together. And think about an arm, right? It's a very straight line, and then we'll form some hands here in a bit. But basically, I'm just trying to get something that looks like it has a little bit of shape to it, forming the armpit and the shoulder. So I'm sort of pinching it closer towards the body and then just pinching and folding up the extra foil so I get a nice arm shape. If there's extra foil you have, you can just cut it off. It really is your preference. Now we're going to do the other arm. So same thing, rolling it up, not scrunching it, but taking your time rolling it up. You can tear it a little bit more if you need to. And right now it's just very basic, so we'll go back again and form more details for the entire body, but right now we're just really getting a good foundation. Making sure again that the arms are closer to the body form where the shoulder is, otherwise there's not going to be a lot of support. So you should have a head and 2 arms, and now we're going to do the legs. So for the legs, same thing as the arm, roll it in and start pinching. You're going to want to connect the body to the legs by forming some kind of hip. So you can scrunch up the foil like I'm doing there, and it's really going to help support the heavier part of the body at the top. See how I'm just folding it in and then pinching it? So for the legs, very simple, just like the arms, making some lines here. Okay, and now we have something that looks like a figure. It is a little bit loose still, so I'm going to pinch more up to help support that side. You'll see me do it here. And then now the legs are a little bit more even too. Awesome. Okay, now we're gonna go into the details of the hands. And remember, the thumbs should be inward, sort of like you're making this silly face with me. You don't wanna put the thumbs outward, otherwise it's gonna look like a little wonky. So what I'm doing is I'm flattening the foil to make it very flat. And now I'm going to pinch it in to form the thumb part. I'm not gonna do the individual fingers. You can if you want, but that's really challenging. So again, just we're sort of trying to form the thumb so it looks a little bit like a hand, and then pinching it in to form a wrist and bending it at the elbow. And then I'm doing the same with the other arm. Yay, 2 hands. Oh, it was a little uneven here. So what I did was I just cut off the extra to make the hands a little bit more even. You can do whatever pose you want with this when you start making the hands and the arms bend. And now I'm gonna work my way through the ponytail part. So again, just tightening the foil around the head. I want it to look a little bit more like this one. So what I'm doing is I'm taking that ponytail part and just sort of twisting it and pinching it so it has its starts taking that little form of, you know, when you put your scrunchie in at the top. And I'm also considering the overall shape of the head naturally. You have this curve that comes in to form your neck where your chin goes all the way in to meet your neck. So that's what I'm trying to form here by just pinching it in and still allowing the neck to support the weight of the head though. And I'm just flattening up the ponytail, making sure that it looks, you know, like a ponytail. And the body here is still a little bit, it doesn't have a lot of support. So I am going to take a strip of foil and just go ahead and add it in to give that extra support. So what I'm doing is I'm sort of wrapping it around like a mummy, if you will. I don't want to wrap it around too many times, just a few times, and then I'm gonna cut that off. And just pinching it in to go with the rest. And now I'm taking that strip and putting it around her, kind of like a toga. So it's going over her body, and this is gonna help connect that shoulder to the hip weight. And so it's really gonna bring her body up, bring it on over the shoulder. And then what I'm gonna do is wrap it around her neck, kind of like a scarf. And then that way I don't have many strips of foil connecting it all. I just have one strip that I've kind of have formed around her body. If you start adding too many little strips here and there, they might not all stick together. You could probably use some glue to stick it together if it's a little loose. I just like to fold it in and pinch it. So now we're gonna form the feet. Here it's just really simple. Again, pinching it in and then folding it up to form that foot shape. And I did the other leg. And now I have a little figure. I love her, she's very cool. So she reminded me of a soccer player. So I'm just adjusting her arm to make a pose. So her hand's at her hip, and then I'm gonna lift her leg up as if she's leaning on a soccer ball. And then I had a really fun idea that I would actually make her a soccer ball. So I'm taking a strip of paper here, and then I'm just gonna scrunch it up, roll it around a little bit to form a sphere, and there we have it. And now she's got a cool little soccer ball to lean on. So for the next step, you're going to need some permanent markers and a toothpick. And what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of color to her and attach the soccer ball to her foot. So I've written on the back there, number 1, and then I'm going to color in her shirt. Just keep in mind when you're coloring with permanent marker that you need time to let it dry on the foil. So I'm taking the toothpick and I'm sticking it into the soccer ball, and then I'm going to connect that to her foot. And then you can just cut off the excess. All right, and there is my complete soccer player. I really like her ponytail. I just wrapped a little strip around it to make it look like she had a scrunchie. And there's my other one that I did as an example beginning. Okay, so now that we've done a figure, if you want to go to the advanced level, we're going to make an animal. So what you're going to need is another piece of foil, and I've cut the strips, 2 at the top and then 2 at the bottom. I'm taking another cotton ball and I'm putting it in that first section to form the head. What I'm going to make is a giraffe. You can make any kind of 4-legged animal. That's the structure that I'm using. So again, just with the figure, I'm pinching the head, trying to form the neck. Giraffes have really long necks. And then I'm taking that bottom piece and forming one of the front feet. So it starts off something like this, the head, and then the bottom is the leg. Now I'm rolling it up to make the body. So it's a little something like this. I really loved working with foil. It's very fun to manipulate. So now I'm just cutting an extra strip to form what's going to look like the 4 legs. And I'm doing it just like I did with the figure legs, pinching it in, trying to get the whole form first before going in too much with detail. And I even made a little tail for it, although I think they're a little bit longer, but we'll get to that later. So now I have the basic form of a giraffe. I noticed that the legs were uneven, so I'm just going to even those out by cutting off the excess. And here is my base. So now I'm going to take some masking tape and go ahead and cover up all of that foil. I don't want any foil to show, so I'm just going to start at the neck and work my way down. Gently, I'm going to roll the tape around the foil and make sure really that you don't want any foil spots, because once we cover it masking tape, we're actually going to paint it. And if you have those open spots with the foil, it's going to show through with the paint and it's not going to look very nice. And also the masking tape is going to give it a more smoother foundation than painting directly onto the foil. As you can see, the foil has a lot of texture to it. That's going to come through to the paint. It's going to make it very difficult for you to add detail. So I'm just taking my time here, working in little strips, adding in the masking tape. And the masking tape is also a good way to make sure that the legs are even in terms of their width. So some of my legs were a little bit thinner than the others, so I'm going to add some more masking tape where I need a little bit more thickness and actually a little bit more support too, because you know that cotton ball does weigh some. So the neck, I just want to make sure that I'm putting some masking tape to support the weight of the head. Okay. So now I forgot that giraffes actually have ears and these little muscles on the top next to their ears. So I formed some out of foil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to individually tape them to the head, something like this. So I went ahead and made a second one. And these are the little muscles on top that look like horns. And now I'm making the ear. So I'm just taking a flat piece of foil and folding it in to each other and then sort of forming an ear shape. And you can look up an image of a giraffe. I had to kind of get the overall idea of what it looked like, but it's, you know, it's just a piece of art. So it can look like whatever you want in the end. So I'm trimming off the excess masking tape because I want that head to be really smooth. And now I am covering those horns and ears with masking tape and just cutting out the extra so it looks like it has the same shape that it started the foil with. And now I'm taking some strips of masking tape and I'm going to tape them to the head. Now I'm going to repeat this for you because it's a little bit hard, but basically I'm taping it from the bottom. So let me show you again what I mean. So I'm covering that ear and that horn muscle part with the masking tape, just like I covered the rest of the body with the masking tape. And I'm again just cutting off the excess. So now I'm taking a thin piece of tape and tape the bottom half of it. Then I'm going to stick that to the head. Something like this. And then boom and boom, tape that in. And now I'm going to secure the back part of it same way. Thin piece of tape attached to the ears and horns and then taped to the head. And now I'm just cutting some parts out to get the shape that I want. And there we have it. It's a giraffe. So for this next part, I said we were going to paint. So you're going to need some paint brushes, some paint, of course. I'm going to use acrylic paint. I think acrylic paint is going to work best for the masking tape. And you're also going to need a palette. I've decided to upcycle this this egg carton and a rag. It also would be a good idea to cover your workspace. So I've thrown in some yellow and brown paint and I'm going to use the end of my brush to mix it together. If you had a palette knife or something, you can do that too. So now I'm going to go ahead and paint my entire giraffe this yellowish color. You can paint it whatever color you want. I just thought this one looked nice. And I'm going to set it to dry. Once it's dried, I'm going to take a small round brush and some brown paint and start putting on some spots. The spots on giraffes are very organically shaped, so that means that they don't look exactly like perfect circles. So just have fun with it. Put your brush here and there, make some bigger, make some smaller, and they're pretty close together. The spots actually end around the knees and the tail of the giraffe and go all the way up the neck towards the face. I'm going to paint the bottom half of the legs and the belly of the giraffe white. And now I'm taking some black paint and I'm just going to add that to the tip of the tail. Since it has those hairs at the bottom, I want it to look like that. And I'm also going to paint the bottom of the feet black. And there we have her. Super impressed with how it turned out. I'm very excited about my foil sculpture. Please make your own foil sculptures and share your art and tag us at the IMAS Museum using the hashtag IMASArtist. Thank you so much for joining me for another Workshop Wednesday. To learn more and to support, visit us on our website, theimasonline.org. See you next time.